My name is Claire. I'm 48, and this was supposed to be just another quiet week by the ocean, a break from everything, my work, my grown-up son, the kind of loneliness that doesn't make you cry but sits next to you at dinner. I rented a small house by the beach in South Carolina. The air smelled of salt and sunscreen. Kids ran in and out of the waves, and every morning I watched couples walking together, barefoot, laughing, leaving prints that the tide erased before I could even envy them. On the third morning, I met her. She was standing near the shoreline, sketchbook in hand, hair caught in the wind like she didn't care how wild it looked. A pale blue sundress clung to her legs, the fabric damp from the surf. She couldn't have been older than 23, a student maybe, or one of those people who seem to live between moments instead of in them. I sat on the sand with my book, pretending to read but watching her draw. After a while, she looked up and caught me. She smiled, not shy, not bold, just knowing. Then she walked over. "Sorry, are you local?" she asked. I shook my head. "No, just hiding from my emails." She laughed, warm and unfiltered. "Good hiding spot." Her name was Riley. She was visiting for the summer. A painter, she said, trying to capture the color of air. I didn't ask what that meant. I just liked the sound of it. We ended up talking for an hour, about books, about storms, about how the ocean can make you feel both infinite and small at the same time. She spoke easily, without hesitation, while I kept wondering when I'd stopped knowing how to talk like that. Before she left, she tore a small page from her sketchbook, a quick pencil drawing of the shoreline. "So, you remember where you were hiding?" she said, pressing it into my hand. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about her, the way she moved, like she belonged everywhere the light touched. I told myself it was curiosity, admiration, nostalgia even. Anything but what it really was. The first spark of wanting, quiet and terrifying. The next morning, I found her again by the water. This time, she waved first, and I waved back. Riley found me again the next morning, just as the fog was lifting from the water. She carried her sketchbook under one arm and 2 coffees in a cardboard tray. "I guessed you'd be here," she said, handing me one. I smiled. "Guess you're getting good at finding people who hide." We sat on the sand, side by side, watching the light change on the waves. The horizon was a slow, breathing thing, blue melting into gold. She started sketching again, quick lines, loose movements, like she was chasing something she didn't want to lose. "What do you see when you look at the ocean?" she asked suddenly. "Noise," I said. "Beautiful noise." She smiled. "I see mirrors. It shows you what you're ready to see." That answer stayed with me. Everything about her did. In the afternoons we'd meet by accident, that wasn't one. She'd set up near the rocks, barefoot, hair in a messy bun, smudges of graphite on. Instead, I asked, "And what about you? What are you trying to find here?" She looked out at the horizon for a long time before answering. "Something that doesn't stay still," she said. "Something that feels alive." A long wave rolled in and soaked our feet. We both laughed, but neither moved. The laughter faded into quiet, and in that quiet, I felt something shift. A warmth that wasn't just the air. When she finally stood to leave, she brushed sand from her dress, then hesitated. "Same time tomorrow?" I nodded too quickly. She grinned, seeing through it, then turned and walked up the beach, her silhouette framed by the dying light. I sat there long after she'd gone, the tide creeping closer, the sky dimming to silver. The page she'd given me, the sketch from our first meeting, fluttered beside me, edges damp from the sea breeze. And I realized I didn't feel like I was hiding anymore. I felt like I'd been found. The evening before Riley was supposed to leave, the sky turned the color of old gold. I saw her walking down the beach, barefoot as always, her sketchbook pressed against her chest. The wind tangled her hair, and when she reached me, she didn't say hello, just sat down beside me as if she'd been there every night of my life. "Last sunset," she said quietly. "I know." The water moved slow, deliberate, like it didn't want the day to end either. We watched in silence, the kind that doesn't need filling. Then she spoke again, soft, uncertain. "Do you ever wish you'd met people at the wrong time on purpose, just to see what would have happened?" I turned toward her, but she was looking at the horizon. Her voice trembled, just a little, and that was the first time I saw her unsure. "Maybe the right people always come at the wrong time," I said. She smiled, a sad, beautiful curve. "I'm not good at leaving," she whispered. The wind lifted her hair, brushing it across my shoulder. I could smell the salt, the faint sweetness of sunscreen, the paper of her sketchbook. It was all so ordinary, but it felt like the world was waiting for something to happen. Riley turned then, facing me fully. Her eyes looked darker in the fading light. "I keep trying to draw you," she said, almost laughing, "but I can't get it right. Maybe that's because I'm not finished yet." We both laughed quietly, but it wasn't really laughter. It was release, the kind that hurts and heals at the same time. The first stars appeared, one by one, small and fragile. Riley brushed sand off her knee, her hand trembling just enough for me to notice. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Anything." "Do you ever get tired of being the strong one?" That question cracked something open. I didn't answer. I just looked at her, and for the first time in years, I didn't try to hold anything back. She reached for my hand, slow, careful, like she was afraid I'd pull away. I didn't. The warmth of her skin against mine felt like both a question and an answer. We sat that way until the tide reached our ankles, the waves folding around us in silver light. Neither of us said what we were thinking. We didn't need to. The air between us already knew. When she finally stood to leave, she slipped a folded page into my hand. Another sketch. This time it wasn't the ocean. It was me, sitting in the sand, half smiling, looking somewhere just out of frame. She leaned close, her voice barely more than a breath. "Don't disappear again." Then she turned and walked toward the boardwalk, her figure dissolving into the dim. The waves came in, and for the first time, they didn't erase everything. Somehow, they left it behind.